855-829-8388.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia during the President's Day sale going on all month long. Are you looking for a fuel-efficient SUV that doesn't compromise on style, comfort, and performance? Stop in today at Bill Bird Kia and let our team put you behind the wheel of your new Kia. Bill Bird Kia is now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per month per $1,000 financed in 60 months. Qualities limited, cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is the Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete detail. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/3/25.
ESPN Northwest Florida advertisers get results.
Hi, this is Todd from PCB Hobby on Back Beach. Advertising with ESPN Northwest Florida has been a wonderful experience. Their staff is very knowledgeable and friendly. If you want to talk with customers like you never thought possible, reach out to the team at ESPN Northwest Florida. 850-215-4468.
Get results for your business. Call ESPN Northwest Florida. 850-215-4468.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lyndhaven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
Live and local.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
This thing is going to be a financial and cultural disaster.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Whopper, 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 whopper.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise! Keep making noise! Yeah!
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You're now riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife. You guys can call or text us 850-215-6290. It is a Monday, so we're looking for your best and worst of the weekend. Again, you can text those in. You can call them in, 850-215-6290. Got a great show lined up for you this afternoon. Coming up next, as we always have with us on Mondays, we're going to be taking some left turns, reviewing the race that went down over there in Atlanta. RJ Starcevic will join us at 4:20. Then we'll have Steve Barnes with us at the top of hour number 2, 5 o'clock, going over best and worst of the weekend, and then also some college baseball and what is the SEC going to 9 games. We got a ton of stuff to talk about with Steve Barnes, senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. Then at 5:20, it is the PCB Hobby Takeover. We are live from the Bendian's Best Move Studios. You guys can call Quentin at 850-583-0814 if you want the best movers around Bendian's. Arnold is your back-to-back Class 5A state champions. They beat Jesuit for the second, or Jesuit for the second. Is it Jesuit or Jesuit?
It's Jesuit. I was trying to figure out why you churched it up there a little bit.
I just felt like
making sure we were listening.
Yeah, well, not just that, but I felt like I had like a Bible in front of me or something reading that word. But they went into extra time. It was 1-1 there after a goal in the 55th minute by Travis, or 54th minute by Travis Novak, and ended up winning 4-3 in penalty kicks. They finish off with a record of 19-1-4. They beat the number 1 team in the land, Booker T. Washington, to get to the or to win their district. You had goals from Travis Novak, number 77, number 28, Zach Wickard. That was in the penalty kicks. Number 23, Josh Moore. Number 10, Fernando Granillo. And number 11, Carson Stewart. So, and I believe the goaltender for Arnold is Lincoln Ginn. We're actually going to have 3 of the fellas on with us tomorrow at 5:20. So we'll be celebrating their championship with them. I mean, great stuff there, though, to go back to back. Rutherford did fall against Bulls in the Elite 8. I believe the score there was 52-38, and that Elite 8 has just been a monster for the Rutherford Rams. So hopefully the Lady Rams, gather or regather and regroup and get ready for next year, as they weren't able to accomplish it this year. But Arnold on top once again. I mean, do you think that they're back-to-back national champs at this point? They did beat the number 1 team in the land, and they've just been dominating.
I don't know. I mean, that stuff is it's so hard to objectively, rank the teams across each other because they're not playing, for the most part, any like opponents. I don't know. I mean, you just have to see who else is ranked highly and how they ran through their state. I mean, if they went undefeated through, I don't think Arnold's going to be considered. But, just at least the fact that we're having to ask the questions pretty darn impressive, especially after losing, a lot of players like they did last year. So,
right.
So really good job down there. I mean, it's never easy to win in PKs. I mean, I've never liked PKs deciding a game, but it's a necessary evil. And but man, it takes nerves of steel. And maybe some of Arnold being in that situation the last a couple times in the last several years maybe paid off in a shootout, because those things are they're nerve-wracking for sure. But congrats to the Marlins. I
remember last year not even watching the game. This year it was at 9 o'clock in the morning. By the time that it was over, I was like, oh, well, dang, that happened.
Well, it was funny to me. It was Jesuit, because we used to battle them in swim as well. In fact, both of us were battling so hard. One year, Gulliver slipped past both of us and won the thing. But we knew they were going to. But Jesuit was always kind of a big rival for Arnold on the boys' side, and then Holy Names is kind of their sister school down there in Tampa, the all-girls school, and they were always battling us on the swim end there. So it was funny that it ended up being Arnold Jesuit, in another sport. So.
Danny Griffin says they are currently ranked second nationally. Nationally, they just need a California team to lose. Brent says, I think the final rankings are posted in Max Preps, and it's got Arnold at 3 because he thinks that the 2 teams above them have also clinched state titles. Yeah. But don't quote him on that.
Yeah, so. and that's I don't know. If they beat a strong contingent on the way through, or if they'll give Arnold any weight for beating Washington on the way, I don't know. But, it's pretty darn hard to go back-to-back state-wise, much less nationally. So just being in the conversation is pretty good.
So it looks like we're going to have Travis Novak, we're going to have Lincoln Ginn, and then the senior captain as well, which I'm not sure who that is. So awesome. We'll have 3 of them in the building with us tomorrow afternoon. And, man, I'm just excited for them. I really don't know how to put it into words. You were talking about the suspense of the penalty kicks, and last year I was keeping up with it on my phone on, I believe, Max Preps or something like that, or maybe someone was texting me the information. I just remember, like, each one you're just like, okay. And I can't even imagine being a parent or someone actually affiliated. I'm sitting there, heart beating heavy. This game was at night, and I was actually visiting my mom. So it was for me, very suspenseful. I could not imagine being the ones actually having to perform there in that situation.
Yeah, no, it's brutal. One thing I was thinking about, we were talking about it all last week, just kind of the cost, involved with these teams making deep playoff runs, and all like that. And there's been a lot of talk about, the school system should help this, that, or the other, and maybe it should. But the bottom line is it does cost a lot to do these things. I've been in other sports, and people are like, well, how could it cost so much? Well, these buses and things like that, we're not riding the cheese wagon for 9 hours down to these things. They need to be in the best situation to be at their best physically, so you need to be on a better bus situation. That costs a lot of money. Hotel, you can't just jam everybody up on top of each other. These are big male athletes that need to be able to stretch out and this, that, and the other. And so you need to rent more hotel rooms, and that costs a lot of money. The FHSA sets these things in areas, and they know they're going to get a lot of people in. So what often happens? They jack up rates. And so that becomes an issue. Feeding teenagers is expensive enough. Oh. Imagine teenage athletes. Mm-hmm. And on the road, you can't just give them Walmart crackers. I mean, they need to eat, so it's expensive. So it does cost a lot of money to do this stuff. And fortunately, this area has been very good in supporting all of our groups that have gone, into the playoffs and into state things, but it does cost a lot of money. So, next time you kind of think, well, how could it cost that much? It adds up very quickly, and it's extremely important. So just keep that in mind. Would it be nice if there was more support? Yeah, but then maybe our taxes would be higher. So there's, it's what it is. But anytime we can help these groups of kids, it's really important, because these are things that really help shape their lives going forward. Not just, that they get a ring, that they get to be state champion, but the things that you learn in sports, and the discipline, and the working within a team, and all of that is stuff that's invaluable in life. So anything we can do to help foster and support that financially, I think, is a worthy investment.
There you go. Jack Patterson says, good afternoon. We appreciate you guys so much for listening. Christopher Multicante says, Cam Ward, he's coming to do stuff. That kind of comes off the heels of some of the big news today. I don't know why it's really news, but Shedeur Sanders not going to be throwing in the combine. I don't think that's really a big deal.
The underwear Olympics.
I think that every person who's going to be drafted should be, running the 40. Outside of that, though, if you're the top quarterbacks last year, you go to Caleb Williams, you go to Jaden Daniels, you go to Drake May. Neither one of those guys threw at the combine. They go and have, their pro days, and they throw there. But, James, what do you got?
That's what I was going to say. Don't most of these guys who are going to be the big quarterback coming into a draft, don't most of the agents tell these guys, don't throw at the draft, don't throw at the combine?
Yeah.
Use your own pro day?
But I don't even get the pro days on these guys. It's not like we don't have film of everything.
I think the pro day is it's a much more controlled environment for the player, much more controlled environment for the guy that's representing the player, much more controlled environment for the university to be like, hey, we're going to get this wide receiver that you've been working with to just run this one route that you know how to throw really great, and we're just going to keep on doing those things because you'll look even better.
I think it's a way for scouts to get per diem. I mean, honest to God. I mean, look,
scout,
first of all, I want to see a guy make a throwing game situation, not in his shorts and no pads. I just do. And maybe
you want to see with pressure and those kind of throws?
Maybe 30 years ago we didn't have film on everything. So maybe you needed to bring those guys in and test a few things. Anybody who's playing at a major university now, you've got film on everything with them. So, I mean, I understand why you wouldn't, because the theory is that all you can do is hurt yourself, especially if you're a higher up name. I get that, but I don't know why they need to do all of this stuff. I don't think they do. I think it's trying to look like you're taking care of all your checks and balances as a major operation. But when it comes to can he make this throw, you've got plenty of tape on that.
I mean, the NFL does it because look what we're doing right now. We're talking about the NFL. And it's at a time period right now where what's going on in the NFL?
The one thing I understand is getting him in and doing the Wonderlick and that kind of stuff. That's the stuff you don't know about him watching film.
He will be doing meetings with teams.
Yeah, I get that part.
Exactly. But it did not hurt Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May last year. We'll talk more about that with Steve. Just, seeing Cam Ward's name made me think of that. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. Please like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then go to your Apple Store or your Google Play Store and download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Chef Ross wants to know, are you guys going to be asking Wonderlic questions for trivia this week? If I can find some, I guess so. But I don't think I've ever, the last time I really even thought about the Wonderlic test, or at least that back in the day, I guess what I'm trying to get at, beating around the bush, back in the day on one of the Madden games when you were creating your superstar, they had test questions like that. I don't think that they were actually from the Wonderlic test, but I don't know.
I found some sample questions if you really, really want to know.
Yeah, well, go ahead and just ask one of them. Ask one that piques your fancy.
I always like the ones from inside the actor's studio.
Oh, those are always fun. Those are always great. I love it.
What you got?
We just go by. Okay, so the first one is a math question.
Oh, Lord.
Which of the following is the smallest number?
C.
You're close. 5/8, 0.625, 2.5, 1/3, or 1.75.
I'll go with... Oh, man. I'm stuck between two, but I'll say 5/8.
The smaller number?
The smallest number.
1/3.
It's 1/3.
Yeah. 1/3. I forgot about 1/3. It got the 0.625 or whatever. I'm like,
Well, I was having to do some math there with 5/8 and 0.625. I was kind of like,
that's where I got stuck.
Then when I got 1/3, I knew I was all right.
I got stuck right there. I didn't even think about a third. My brain stopped working a third of the way through that question.
So, like, going through, it reminds me kind of just one of those tests where you can go through that test, and if you just know how to take a test, they have everything is A, B, C, D, E. There's
multiple choice.
There's 6 on every single one of them, and looking through the test real quick, it's real easy to strike out like 4 on every single question.
I would, make the most of my Christmas tree making abilities on a test like that. Yesterday was Panama City's 116th birthday, Brian.
Oh, Glenn Manley's too.
Yeah, I think his was 117, though. He did ring the bell, I believe, a few days ago, though. Keep on keeping on. We should have Coach. He is Coach Ryan Mulvey for Team Dynasty.
That's
Ryan
right.
Mulvey should be back in the building with us Wednesday. I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but, he's in good spirits, and hopefully we'll have him back with us this Wednesday. But, yeah, Panama City yesterday. City was formed on February 3rd, 1909. George Mortimer West is known as the founding father of Panama City, and in 2000 he was recognized as a Great Floridian by the Florida Department of State. I just want to let you know, Coach Haddad, you are a Great Floridian as well.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mortimer, that's a name you don't hear anymore.
Nope, but if I ever have a kid, you know what? Actually, if I have 3 and they're all boys, the third one's middle name will be Mortimer.
Every time I hear it, I just think of Mortimer Dukes.
Trivia question for you.
Okay.
Know what it was called before Panama City?
Baytown.
Close.
St. Andrews?
Harrison.
Oh, okay.
That's why we have Harrison Avenue.
Interesting.
Yeah, man.
And it is called Panama City because it was named at the same time
as the Panama Canal,
as
right?
the Panama Canal. And if you take a ruler and go from Chicago to Panama City in Panama, it goes directly through here.
How about that?
Thank you.
You learn something new every day.
Especially when you got James around. There's no doubt about that. Well, you know what? You're a Yankees guy.
I am.
I'm really a little disappointed. I thought you were going to come in with a well-groomed beard this afternoon.
If I could, I would. I mean, it just it grows in like white along here. It just doesn't work. I've tried
a couple of white hairs.
I've tried. It doesn't work. I read the story. I thought the whole thing was ridiculous from the get-go. I didn't care. I mean, I'm not against a team setting rules.
This is 49 years of tradition, Brian.
Well, but I don't consider it tradition if I thought it was a stupid rule in the first place. But I never... I didn't lose my mind over it because it's up. I mean, the organization can set whatever guidelines they want to set. I just thought it was kind of pointless. But, I mean, I understand you don't want your guys to look, disheveled and, this, that, or the other. But, I mean, facial hair was not a big deal to me. So, especially, in the 70s, I mean, it was kind of a rite of passage. So, I don't know. It's fine that they had it. It's fine that they don't have it.
It is what it is.
I just need to win a World Series. Give me another pitcher.
Well, here's what I need. I need at one point in time throughout the regular season, I need 18 players on your roster, on your not 40-man roster, but your active roster to have a beard. 17.5 is the number. Caveman Rick says that they won't go over 17.5. I think that they will. It doesn't have to be. It just has to be facial hair, essentially. Oh, well, I guess we have to go deeper than the mustache because they've always been allowed to wear mustaches.
Hester Cortez had that.
Can Anthony Volpe grow a beard? Is he old enough yet?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Hey, have you watched any of y'all spring training games?
Not yet. I've read up on some things, but I haven't been able to watch anything yet.
And this might be one of my best and worst of the weekend, which, again, you guys can text in your best and worst of the weekend right here, 850-215-6290. But the spring training caps really across the board this year are really good looking. But you guys yesterday had on a blue jersey, and then you had the pinstripe pants on and the hat pinstripe. I like that, man. Okay. I thought it was a pretty good look. Obviously, it's not.
When it comes to uniforms, I'm a pretty classic.
Spring training, though, isn't really.
That's the time to do it. That's the time to do it. I like
y'all
that.
Y'all don't even have City Connect uniforms.
Yeah, I like that better than doing all the City Connect and the Los this and I just.
Some teams have some really good City Connect uniforms. Other teams, like the Braves, I feel like they missed the mark. I'm glad the Yankees don't have one. As much hate as the Red Sox get, I've really come to love, especially after knowing Boston Tim and like learning that is about the Boston Marathon's flag.
Right, that's right.
Because at first when I saw those colors, I'm like, what the heck? At least make them make sense.
The only ones I've ever liked, I can't remember if they were basketball or baseball, but Miami did a Miami Vice theme kind of one once. And that was a perfect show for my age. And it was Don Johnson was the coolest guy in the world, so that was cool. But I don't get that into it. I like classic look of uniforms, so get off my lawn.
Get off.
Have you had a favorite hat yet from spring training?
Spring training hats, not really. I've only gotten to watch a handful of games, and all of them have been with the Cubs.
Yeah.
So I've been I saw the Dodgers, which are just like wearing their traditional LA hats. And one of the other games I watched with the Cubs, I want to say it was like the Reds, and they were just wearing the standard C. So it was nothing to write home about.
The Cubs are probably one of my least favorites. I don't know. I like the logo. I just don't like the two-tone with having the baby blue with the royal blue, and the Cub kind of throws it off. But James, real quick, what do you got? What do you got?
I was just going to say the baby blue isn't, I don't really consider, the Cubs did it for a little while in the 70s with the baby blue, but it's not a traditional color.
Right. What were you doing this weekend? Specifically Saturday, 1 p.m.-ish.
Saturday, 1 p.m.-ish. I was in downtown Panama City and just found my way into this really great parade.
Oh, Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, man.
So y'all were handing out some beads and whatnot?
Got the beads out, had some moon pies throwing, had a couple little like Tootsie Rolls and things like that we could get some good launch on to get real deep into the crowd.
Well, I bring that up because the boss man told me that y'all were throwing out some beads that had silver helmets on them. He said they threw out a specific number. If you caught those beads that have the silver helmets on them, bring them up here to the station, and you get to keep the helmet, you get to keep the beads, but we're also going to hook you up with a $25 gift certificate to that boot store and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. So if you got the Mardi Gras beads that have, and they got an ESPN Northwest Florida sticker on,
or Northwest Florida helmet. It's a silver helmet, got the ESPN sticker right on it. You cannot mistake it.
There you go. Just bring it up here from anywhere from about 10 till 4. I mean, really just come up from 10 to 5, and we'll be able to help you out. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Coming up next, we're going to get RJ's best and worst of the weekend from what went down in a track in Atlanta.
Only 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida could bring sports fans like you an app this powerful. The sports content you crave is always on. Live stream us everywhere you go. Now with upgraded programming and live game schedules, you'll always know when the Atlanta Braves and your favorite games are playing. Plus, interact with our local hosts in real time and so much more. The new app for the sports fanatic is available at the Apple Store and Google Play. From 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Partly cloudy the remainder of the day with temps near 64 and a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Slight fog and partly cloudy skies tonight, a light breeze and a temperature of 54. About the same tomorrow, around 69 with slight fog in the morning, but otherwise sunshine. Sunny Wednesday and very warm around 70. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Experience a higher level of service. David Adamson Designer Jewelry has been providing you the very best of fine jewelry and repair in Lynn Haven for over 32 years. David has added Amber Anderson and Russ Clare, names you've known and trusted in PCB for years with your fine jewelry and watch needs. Find that one-of-a-kind engagement ring, that special anniversary gift, or something colorful just for you. Amber and Russ will find it or build it for you. Serving Bay County and beyond in Lynn Haven at the corner of Ohio Avenue and 9th. David Adamson Designer Jewelry.
Get the edge on the competition with the latest lines, expert picks, and everything you need to place your bets. Elevate your game day experience with ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
That's what I'm talking about. James got us grooving here on the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And you can keep the game going with us here at ESPN Northwest Florida. We're now on your smart speaker for in-home listening. Just say, hey, Alexa, open up ESPN Northwest Florida. If needed, you can head over to ESPNPC.com and click Enable Skill. While you're there, you can also read the latest article from RJ Starcevic, and you're definitely going to want to download that app because March Madness is just right around the corner, and we're going to have every single game for you guys right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now, on the Afternoon Underdogs is not so much of an underdog. We've been rooting for him for a long time, though. RJ Starcevic, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing too much. Last week we were at Buc-ee's, so now we're back at home in Tampa, Florida, where it's been raining all day. I don't know what it's doing up there, but it's just been a downpour, gloomy day here in TPA.
I don't know if we've had any actual raindrops.
Just looked ugly all day.
It was drizzly out at my place.
It's kind of like me. Like, I'm ugly, but I'm not raining all over your parade. RJ, what was your best and worst of the weekend over there in Atlanta?
Yeah, best, I got to go with just the overall racing. I mean, It's just an absolute blast getting to watch, what this track has turned into. It changes every time we go there. And just, when the sun goes down, the grip levels change and the intensity rises because it's the final stage. Those drivers are putting it all on the line. And, sometimes it results in crashes, but sometimes it just results in some insane racing. And for the worst, I got to just, the finish, the caution on the final lap. We can talk about whether it should or should have not came out like we have, seemingly the last 2 weeks to start this season with almost every race. Thankfully, the super speedway controversy is coming to an end for a few months here. But no matter what, whether the caution should or should not have come out, we always just want to see racing back to the green flag, and we hope they don't start wrecking back there and ruin the show that's going to be up front. But damn, 3 wide, going in turn 3 and 4 after all the hype of what happened last year, that was certainly a little bit of a deflator there with the yellow coming out.
Yeah, and I had a little $3 wager there on Kyle Larson, so I was really hoping whatever you saw Christopher Bell and the DeWalt team up there celebrating. You're like, oh, man, come on. Hopefully Kyle Larson's nose was out front there. It wasn't going to win. It was $40 or whatever, but I put a few in. I had Denny Hamlin. I went long shot with Corey LaJoie and your boy John Hunter Nemechek, but Christopher Bell getting it done. Hey, I want to talk about the track real quick and get your expertise on that. Do you like the surface at Atlanta, or should they repave? Kind of break that down for me and some of the listeners who maybe aren't aware or are ignorant to the track facts, the way that it's paved. And you gave some details to it a second ago, but one of my biggest questions is when I'm on social media, when I'm on Twitter, and they're talking about Atlanta, there's a lot of people who are for it or who would like to see it repaved, and there's a lot of people who like the fact that it makes it more of a course where the drivers who handle better, whose handling is better, are going to do better.
Yeah, I mean, I freaking love it. For those who didn't know, Atlanta was one of the more classic tracks, or is one of the more classic tracks on the NASCAR schedule for so long. That surface, for multiple decades was raced on, and it was a normal 1.5-mile racetrack, not pack racing, kind of just seeing how much you could save your tires. And we still saw some good racing there, but the surface, literally was coming apart over the years, and they had to repave it, years ago after the 2021 races we had there. And they decided to make it kind of like a super speedway type of track. And what I think it's going to develop into, what it already is kind of, we call it a hybrid. It's a super speedway, but it's not nearly as big as Daytona and Talladega. Right. These laps are being completed in like 30 seconds, and these cars are racing all around, and handling is becoming a factor because of how much the track is already wearing. These cars are slipping and sliding around. You see drivers spinning on their own sometimes, but it just creates a racing that we never have really seen before. And I think this track is just going to be an evolving racetrack over the years. You see it all the time with tracks. The surface ages, and the track's going to evolve. We've seen Las Vegas and Kansas tracks that the surface is aged and the racing gets better. But Atlanta's just something unique that we've never seen before in NASCAR, the racing that we're seeing now, and the drivers are enjoying it. That's one thing, that I feel like a lot of the fans are enjoying it, but a lot of the drivers are enjoying it as well. They're having fun. Doing this super speedway, entertaining racing, but also fighting their car, fighting the handling. So for me, I love it. I think this track is going to stay in that, kind of, way for a while, and every single year, 5 years down the road from today, the track's going to be completely different, and who knows the type of racing we're going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Great answer there. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We have RJ Starcevic on the line with us. He runs the Motor Stardom page over there on Instagram. Make sure that you start following RJ now, because one day he's going to have to start charging for a follow, man. I'm telling you, your numbers are getting up there, RJ. Who had low expectations but ended up with an impressive finish at the Ambetter Health 400?
I got to go with Michael McDowell as far as low expectations for the race. This guy was, just all over the place throughout the race. He had to go to the garage and fix his race car in the middle of the race. He had an issue with the power steering. He comes back on the track. There's so many cautions that he was able to get himself back on the lead lap, tied himself for the most free passes ever in NASCAR history with 6, and he finishes in the 13th position. So this is something that we talked about at the beginning of the year, all the rule changes that we saw in NASCAR. Usually before you go to the garage, you're done. He was able to go to the garage, fix a whole issue that they had, come back out on the racetrack, and get a 13th place finish. So the rule changes, able to benefit, teams like that, and just crazy. A record-tying day for Michael McDowell. It seemed like it was over. He finishes 13th.
There you go. And on the flip side of that, and you had Mike McDowell in your top 3 drivers for the Cup Series over there at Atlanta, who had high expectations, RJ, but ended up with a disappointing finish.
Man, I got to go with Brad Keselowski getting wiped out there at the beginning, and it seems like that just keeps happening to him. They run really well. He seems, when he can survive towards the end of the race, he seems to know where to put his race car. He always has throughout his career, but the last few times in these super speedways, it just seems like he has not been in a good seat to make it to the end there. He was victim of Chase Elliott getting put in the wall and breaking a toe link and coming down the track, and he was caught up in that mess. So unfortunately, one of the guys that I thought was going to be able to pull off a win this weekend, he finishes 39th.
Yeah, you also had him in your top 3 as well. That was a wild situation for the 9-car Chase Elliott breaking that toe link, and that was it was cool on the broadcast. I watched a lot of this race. This is probably the 2-3 races right here in this area. Football just ending. Baseball has yet to start. We're not in March Madness, so I get to watch more NASCAR at this portion of the year than I do any other time. So I watched a lot of the race yesterday. But Brad Keselowski also in your top 3, and he just bad luck, as you mentioned. That was really informative of the broadcast team, showing what it takes to fix the toe link, and they were able to get that before even having to take the car to the garage, because they have 7 minutes to try to fix it on pit road.
Yeah, they do 8 minutes at Atlanta, actually, which is the only track that they do that on, just with, I think the length of pit road and everything and the differences between every other track. But yeah, just it's nice to see the flexibility with NASCAR, just like we talked about with Michael McDowell now, allowing teams to repair them in the garage, and just more flexibility with the use of the crews and using everybody their full capability instead of just being like, oh, you're done.
Yeah, no doubt. Let them get out there and race. Why do you think Kyle Larson, has not won in a speedway race? He's 0 for 48 with 16 DNFs. What do you think the holdup is, or what's the wall that Kyle Larson has got to get over to win at a super speedway?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, and I would have loved to see him, in a Hendrick Motorsports car about 5 years ago when they ran a package that was less, a little less chaotic. But now with all this chaos, it does still take a lot of strategy and skill to get up to the front of these races. We see Austin Cindric be very dominant at these super speedways, but I don't know. I mean, Jeff Gordon said at the media center last weekend that he feels it's in his head. And he just kind of has it in his head that he doesn't have luck at these tracks. But boy, was that the closest he's ever gotten last night. Not only just being there in the final laps, but he led a good chunk of the race.
Mm-hmm.
He led a solid amount of laps in that race. Not a huge chunk, but just to be up front for 12 laps in today's age of super speedway racing is big for him, and the moves that he was making. That was probably, I'd say, the best super speedway race he's ever ran, as well as the result, getting in third place there. So I think, does he overcome? I think he certainly overcomes that hurdle sooner rather than later, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to agree with Jeff Gordon. Maybe it's just in his head, and he kind of finds himself in those bad luck situations. But, if I had to guess, I think he gets himself one in the next, 1 or 2 years.
All right, we'll move on to the Xfinity race. Give us a recap of what went down in the Xfinity Series, RJ.
Yeah, it was a crazy race that was still dominated by Austin Hill, as we've seen every single Xfinity Super Speedway. He's won the last 2 races there. He's won 4 races in his career at Atlanta, and he goes out and he wins another one back to back to back at Atlanta, and it didn't come without a fight. The field was fighting him. He had Eric Almirola, the veteran, who made a move on him on the final lap to try to get to the inside there and pass him, but ultimately it just didn't come to fruition. The entire field wrecked on the back straightaway. The caution didn't come out there, even though, Austin Hill was still able to hold on regardless over Eric Almirola and Justin Allgaier. But it gets thrilling there at the end. It's almost like you're watching, when the Golden State Warriors were in their dynasty back then, watching the Patriots back in the day. You kind of know who the favorite, or even the Chiefs now, who the favorite's going to be, and you see all the guys kind of, fighting them and trying to get there, and you think the big man's going to get taken down, and then he doesn't. He ends up winning it anyway. So Austin Hill is just an absolute champion on these super speedways, and when he does go to the Cup Series, he's going to be someone to watch for sure.
I noticed on Twitter that you have an issue with the package that they run for the Xfinity Series. What's the issue there?
Yeah, I mean, they want to run sort of a super, they're running their own super speedway package on the racetrack, but it's not with super high spoilers like the Cup Series does. So they're kind of in the middle. They're running a super speedway package, but they're not as far as the Cup Series does, to where it's not like crazy runs like the Cup Series has, and all the crazy racing you see in the Cup Series, you don't see too much with the Xfinity Series on these super speedways. So my suggestion is just to throw the super speedway out of here, the Xfinity, with the Xfinity cars. They're so fast. The surface is wearing already. Let's just take those restrictor plates off that race cars, and let's just let those things rip like 200 miles per hour with no aero, specifications involved. I just want to see what happens when we throw those cars out there just full throttle. I think it would be some crazy racing. But it's also the drivers too. Some of the drivers are a little bit less experienced. They're not making the moves that you see on Sunday. So I would love to see them try without the super speedway package for those Xfinity Series cars, but I think they'll stick with it for the next few years at least.
Back to the Cup Series and the caution on the final lap there, which ended up helping Christopher Bell win the race. Last week at Daytona, they kind of let him ride. They let them drive, and this one of those issues again that we continue to bring up with when the caution flag is dropped, and we would like to see it be more consistent. It wasn't very inconsistent from the 500 at Daytona to the Ambetter Health 400 over there in Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's exactly the word we're looking for. We're just looking for consistency. I think NASCAR fans are looking for consistency, the drivers, the teams. You don't want to have, in the Daytona 500 on the back straightaway where the field gets destroyed and we're letting them race back to the green. And then we go Saturday night for the Xfinity race. They wreck on the backstretch just like they did last night. There was no caution. And then last night we wreck on the backstretch, and there is a caution. So I think the drivers and everybody is just asking for some consistency. I mean, this is going to happen with super speedways and the product that we see now. It seems like there's going to be more than likely a wreck on the last lap. Yes, we've had 5 of these controversies already this season with a truck race, the duels last week, and now 3 races already in a span of 8 days where we've had a crash in the final lap and controversy whether a caution should or should not have been thrown. So I think everybody just wants consistency. We're hoping for consistency. Hopefully NASCAR can come out and say something this week or at least in the following weeks. We don't have a super speedway for a while. We get to breathe for a little bit. But when Talladega comes back around here in a few months, we would certainly like some clarity about, what a caution is, when it's likely going to be thrown. Obviously, everything's situational, but still. Saturday night and last night were very alike, and we got 2 different outcomes from race control, so we certainly love to see some consistency.
Consistency is the key. Y'all go give RJ a follow on Instagram. His page, Motor Stardom, all one word. Next up, we're at the Circuit of the Americas over there in Austin, Texas. Give us your top 3 for the Xfinity and the Cup Series, RJ.
Yeah, finally. Non-super speedway racing. We get some road course action here. So on the Xfinity side, my 3, I got to start with Ross Chastain. He's in the number 9 for Junior Motorsports this week. He's already won at Circuit of the Americas before. I think he'll be someone to watch. Connor Zilic, this is his bread and butter right here. Made his Truck Series debut here and won the pole for the event. And so I think he's going to be a huge candidate to win that race. He already won his first start last year at Watkins Glen. And then Sheldon Creed, I think to throw him in there as an Xfinity regular that I think is usually strong at these road courses and still, as we know, looking for that first career win. And then on the Cup Series side, I'm looking at Shane Van Gisbergen. This is what Trackhouse brought him in full-time for all these road courses to be able to win and get them in the playoffs. I think he gives it a great shot this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Tyler Reddick has always been fast at COTA. I think this could be a spot where he gets his first win of the year. And then Kyle Larson. I think we know he's fast everywhere, but they have also been specifically fast on road courses throughout the next-gen era. I think Kyle Larson's certainly someone to watch this weekend.
All right, and then finally, before we let you go, how are your top 5 drivers looking? What are RJ's high-powered rankings for the Xfinity and the Cup Series?
Yeah, this is such an odd power rankings to make because these super speedway races are so all over the place. But I got to put Daytona 500 champion William Byron still at number 1. I think they're going to be fast this weekend at COTA. Always been fast on the road courses. Ryan Blaney, number 2. He's the overall points leader. Been very fast the last few weeks. Kyle Larson, obviously always usually going to be very high on these power rankings unless something is wrong with him in that organization, but that's very rare. Austin Cindric, completely dominant the last few weeks, so many laps led at Daytona and Atlanta. He's at the number 4 spot. And then have to put the defending winner, Christopher Bell, after his valiant effort there at the end of the race of Atlanta. I think he'll also be fast at Circuit of the Americas. He's at number 5.
Well, there you go. RJ, thank you so much for your time, my friend, and enjoy the road track race. It's still going to be all left turns, though, for the Circuit of the Americas, right?
Left and right. They shortened the racetrack, though, so it's going to be a little bit shorter version than we've seen before. Usually it was a very long course. Now it's a little bit shorter, so we'll see what happens. It'll tighten up the racing a little bit, and that's what NASCAR loves to do. So might still be some chaos, but it'll be fun.
I was looking at some pictures earlier, and I was like, well, it seems like it's still all left turns, but we'll be ready to talk to you next week, and I'll check out as much of that race as I possibly can. RJ Starcevic, ladies and gentlemen. RJ, take care. We'll see you soon, man.
Awesome. See you guys next week.
All right. Y'all go make sure to follow his Instagram page, Motor Stardom. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. When we get back, I've got a trivia question that to this point of the show has got Coach Haddad stumped, but will he get it right live on the air? Who knows? Because we need you to call in 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Tua, from my knowledge, has not done well against winning teams, so that is a knock on him. But also, when they seem to get in colder games, the whole team seems to shut down. That may be a leadership issue, head coach freezing on the sideline. I think they need to get tougher.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Partly cloudy the remainder of the day with temps near 64 and a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Slight fog and partly cloudy skies tonight, a light breeze and a temperature of 54. About the same tomorrow, around 69 with slight fog in the morning, but otherwise sunshine. Sunny Wednesday and very warm around 70. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Get ready to connect. ESPN Northwest Florida is thrilled to introduce the newest rock stars to the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to the Beach Chamber.
Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Christopher Mize Art, Dr. K's Panama City Car Wash, Equitable Advisors, Tom Zupancic, and Frankfurt Self Storage. We're here to champion your success and connect you with this amazing community.
Congratulations from ESPN Northwest Florida.
And the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce, reaching Bay County and beyond.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $41.99 a month. Cut the cord, not the fun. To get Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click the Lucid TV logo.
But to beat a man, you gotta beat the man.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster.
You're gonna be mine! Woo!
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and you're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Auburn Tiger basketball, the #1 team in the land. And their weekday game this week is going to be against Ole Miss. They'll be hosting Ole Miss over there in the jungle. Tip-off will be at 6 p.m., and then Saturday they get Kentucky on the road. Tip-off at 12 p.m. You can listen to both of those games right here on your home for Auburn Tiger basketball, ESPN Northwest Florida. Our trivia question, and all you got to do is call the number 850-215-6290 for your chance to win a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock plus $25 to not the but that boot store. What since relocated baseball team did Babe Ruth coach for as a publicity stunt for a year after retiring? What since relocated baseball team did Babe Ruth coach as a publicity stunt for a year after retiring? 850-215-6290. Have we worked through the possibilities? Do you know the answer yet, Coach?
Well, I do now. Yeah, I mean, but we'll try and let the callers.
All right, if we get to 540 and we haven't gotten a caller in, then we will reveal
I think the publicity stunt thing is the key, and that helps.
That is what kind of sets it apart, because he did coach. He's not the manager. Just he was a coach for two teams. One is a publicity stunt, and one was reality. For your chance to win 12-pack of Buffalo Rock and $25 to that boot store. We're about 14 minutes away from having Steve Barnes, senior writer for the RebelWalk.com, on the line with us, and that'll be fun, going over his best and worst of the weekend and seeing if he has an answer to the trivia question. We'll go over to the phone line. Coach Olds, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, Coach?
Not much. Getting ready to call a great softball game right here. I got my son Here we call a middle school softball game right here in Vernon, and I'm going to play a little bit of tribute before we go on the field.
All right. Well, who are the two teams playing?
Vernon Middle School and Holmes County Middle School.
Hey, there you go. Well, Coach, have a well-umpired game. We know that you will. What since-relocated baseball team did Babe Ruth coach as a publicity stunt for a year after retiring?
The Brooklyn Dodgers.
That is 100% correct. Ding, ding, ding. You are the winner. And James will, well, we've got all your information over here. James, just put Coach Olds on there, and Coach Olds will be seeing you shortly.
All right, great. Hey, I just want to say thank you for all you did with the flag football youth. It is a great congratulations to Dynasty, and especially you. A lot of dads coach out there, you go out there, give your time, not a dad, and you guys had a great year again with Dynasty. Just congratulations to you, Coach.
Hey, thank you so much, and thank you for all that you and your sons do and your daughters do out there, keeping things going, because without y'all, we wouldn't even be able to play the game. So that means a lot coming from you, Coach, and really do appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Coach. Have a good game out there. Man, Coach Olds, his sons do such a great job refereeing out there. And Brent and Chris do a great job running Southern Elite Sports. The competition out there is tremendous, and great referees, great fields, and they run a tight ship, and we do appreciate that. And I appreciate the kind words there from Coach Olds as well.
Yeah.
Sitting right across from a coach who, great. I try to keep myself
enjoying
around.
Retirement.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, but still, once a coach, kind of always a coach, especially when you're a legitimate head coach. There, what do you miss anything about coaching?
I miss working, with an athlete, helping them get better at something, teaching somebody. That moment where a kid finally gets a skill that they've struggled to learn is kind of the intoxicating
Seeing
thing.
that light bulb click. Yeah.
That was always the moment I always said. But just in general, the ability to watch young people grow, is the best. I mean, hey, look, I don't have kids of my own, so it was kind of like that. But yeah, no, it's about the only thing left in society where there might be delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And so working for a long time at a specific result was something I always enjoyed.
There you go. Coach Brian Haddad, and he's still doing private lessons for just under $2,500 a minute. Hey, if you got someone signed up at that price,
I might ask for more than that.
More than $2,500 a minute?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well,
I got to buy eggs.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh, man. What's the price of eggs? My papa used to ask me every morning when I'd wake up, so what's the price of eggs? I'm like,
I don't know. I'll walk outside and pick them up.
Well,
yeah, exactly. James got a life hack.
I'm a millionaire.
Well, the guy's not even bringing it. We should have fresh stocked eggs in here. The brown chicken eggs. We should have them just chilling. Anytime I want to just microwave an egg because we don't have a stove.
We know where we stand on his list.
$16 an egg.
Oh man,
Waffle
House is beating your prices right now.
I charge you 50 cents to crack it too.
Yeah, 50 cents to crack it. There you go. $16 for the egg white, $16 for the yolk too, as well, right?
Yeah, we'll do that.
There you go. Dustin May, this is a wild story. Yeah, I forgot about him pitching. He pitches with the Dodgers organization. He pitched for the first time in 648 days. He had 2 elbow surgeries, I believe, back in early of 2023. Could have been late 2022. Then he was out to eat one night with his friends and got a piece of, you knew about this?
I've heard about it.
Got a piece of salad lodged in his throat, which tore his esophagus. Then he had to go have emergency surgery on that. He was getting close to coming back. But when I'm reading the story, I'm like, wait, how does, and I don't, knock on wood, how does salad tear your esophagus?
I've been saying that stuff's bad for you for years. Now I got proof.
Yeah. Oh,
Guess I ain't never torn my esophagus on an M&M.
Yeah.
Hey, I have never torn my esophagus on a steak. Just saying.
I feel like chips would be like the main culprit of that, right? You get you a bag
Pretzels.
of pretzels.
Pretzels
yeah.
scary. The stick ones.
Yeah, not the kind that you get from a ball
George
field.
Bush, man.
That's right.
On the president.
Almost took down the president.
Whoa.
Yep.
Where was Secret Service at when you needed it?
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness
Step
gracious.
away from the pretzel, sir.
James, you didn't get to talk with us about USA and Canada. Did you watch any of USA Canada?
I got to see some of the first game. I didn't get to see the decider. I caught up on the highlights. But God, they nailed it. Hockey nailed it. I mean, it was exciting. It was exactly what you'd hope for, and it was perfect. Other than the result.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the result, that's
honestly
true.
The result was fine. It made sense. It went to overtime. It was payback for Canada. Whatever. It was exciting.
Yeah,
I just wanted America to win.
I enjoyed it. Even when the best player in the world is scoring the deciding goal there, and you got to blame so much blame has to go towards Austin Matthews. I know we've been talking about it all week long, basically, but he had 2 opportunities in overtime to win it for the U.S. and then leaving McDavid alone there in the slot. It was not ideal from your captain.
Straight up puck watching. If you go and you just put a freeze frame, like a second before the puck goes to McDavid. Where is everybody for the U.S.? There's some guy standing next to the net. There's 2 guys going to the corner after the puck. And then the 2 guys that are up on the wing, I guess, are still doing their job up on the wing because you can't see them.
Right.
But everybody was puck watching. And what happens when you puck watch?
You watch it go into the back of the net.
That's what it is.
And then you lose it for your country. But still, the excitement that came just from that tournament in general. James, do you have any additional thoughts there?
No, good tournament. NHL did an excellent job putting it on. I understand why they're doing it. They're just getting the league, players, teams used to that, okay, we're taking 2 weeks off for this, and when the Olympics come around next year, we're taking 2 weeks off, and then 2 years after that, we're going to take 2 weeks off for the Hockey World Cup, and then we're going to go to the Olympics and World Cup, Olympics, World Cup every 2 years. So I like it. I don't know if this is going to change much to the IIHF tournaments that are in May, which I enjoy watching, and that is, quote-unquote, the world champion, even though most teams are missing bigger pieces because the NHL is still playing, and the KHL also is still playing.
Yeah. KHL is...
the Russian League.
Russian League, yeah. Man, imagine what a Russian team would have looked like in that tournament had the IIHF allowed that. But
it was an NHL tournament. IIHF had nothing to do
I
with
think
it.
because that's what Gary Bettman was saying on one of the shows I was listening to. Maybe he's just passing the blame off on it, but he was saying because they're standing, because they're, how they're being treated by the other world organizations, that they just decided it was better to go without.
I mean, I'm just barely old enough to still remember when Russian players didn't play
in
the NHL, and even Eastern Bloc guys. I remember, now I'm blanking on their names. The 2 guys that came from probably Czechoslovakia, I can't remember, but it was a big deal when those guys came in. And then the Red Army guys came in after 88, I believe.
89 was the first signing of somebody from the Soviet
But it was, I'd have to go back. They did a great one of those 30 for 30s on it, and I can't remember who it was. It was either Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, one of those Eastern Bloc, but it was really cool. But yeah, I mean, I still remember when, literally the Russian hockey team was essentially an extension of the Russian military, and they all played there.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, and basically KSA in Moscow is still basically that same team operating the same way.
Wow.
But it was, Mikhailov and, I can't remember the rest of their name. They were great, and they were some of the best players, obviously, in the world. And that's why they were so tough to beat, and that's why 1980 was that much bigger a deal, because not only were you beating great hockey players, but great hockey players who played together all the time.
All the time.
Against our amateurs.
Oh, yeah, we had college kids.
That's right.
We had college kids there. That was the only people we had.
And I did see that Mike Eruzione was involved in the Four Nations Cup this time, so obviously the hero of 1980. But.
Yeah, that was really cool. Wright State Chris says we need the NHL to run the Olympic tourney so there can be fights. I believe Mark Messier was saying on the broadcast during one of the overtimes, or maybe he said it on Get Up, something like that. It was on one show, but it wasn't during the game, that there's been 5 international fights in the last 20 to 25 years, and 3 of those were in the first round game, or the round robin game between Canada and USA.
Yeah, not surprising on that.
Yeah, no, not surprised at all. But do you think that maybe not for the Olympic tournament, because I don't want fighting to be the forefront of the Olympic tournament. Does that make sense? But World Cup, go with the NHL rules there.
You know, what rules are we going to play by? Since the NHL is putting the World Cup on, I am sure they are going to put it under their rules.
Well, then there we go. So fighting in the World Cup, but when it comes to, you got to keep the spirit of the Olympics, right? You don't want to have guys fighting and that be the only sport that they're fighting in, unless it is a mixed martial arts sports but those aren't going down in Winter Olympics anyways, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're good to go, and we are about to get ready to go to a break. We've got Steve Barnes coming up with us here in the next segment. We're going to be talking all things college football, but of course, we're going to start off with his best and worst of the weekend. If you guys want us to read your best and worst of the weekend, text it in right now to us at 850-215-6290. Man, I am so excited about having Steve Barnes on with us and hearing his best and worst. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife. James, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go a little bit early. Is that okay? Yeah, we'll be right back.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Partly cloudy the remainder of the day with temps near 64 and a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Slight fog and partly cloudy skies tonight, a light breeze and a temperature of 54. About the same tomorrow, around 69 with slight fog in the morning, but otherwise sunshine. Sunny Wednesday and very warm around 70. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Billburn Kia during the President's Day sale going on all month long. Are you looking for a fuel-efficient SUV that doesn't compromise on style, comfort, and performance? Stop in today at Billburn Kia and let our team put you behind the wheel of your new Kia. Billburn Kia is now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento. Billburn Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillburnKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per month per $1,000 financed in 60 months. Qualities limited, cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billburn Kia warranty. See dealer for complete detail. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/3/25.
WGSX Lynnhaven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
Text those best and worst in 850-215-6290. And also, if you were at the Mardi Gras parade and you got some of those beads with the shiny silver helmets on them and a sticker that says ESPN Northwest Florida, bring those up to the studio. You get to keep the beads and the helmet and all that good stuff. We're just going to hook you up with a $25 gift certificate to not the, but that boot store and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock to show you some appreciation from our sponsors. Hour number 2 here of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida, the home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m., and a special guest on Wednesdays. That's Coach Brian Haddad. Now welcoming in with us, Steve Barnes. He's a senior writer for theRebelWalk.com. Steve, what's going on, my man?
Hey, guys. I'm sure you've seen the movie Bull Durham, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you know the scene where Robert Wool is the pitching coach, and he has to go out to the mound, and Costner's there with everybody, and they're all having their little grievances. And finally he goes, "Hey, we're dealing with a lot of stuff here, man. Well, I got a dog here, and if anybody can help me with this, please do. Will not jump on the bed." So I got her some stairs. She won't use them. She'll go up 2 of them and just stop.
And then you have to carry her the rest of the way, right?
No, I just no, if you're not getting up here, that's fine. All right.
Sleep on the stairs.
Yeah. Now, Taz the cat, when I went out to get the mail today, decided he was going to run out of the door. And what did he do? Didn't leave the porch, just sat in a water puddle. Then came back and jumped in bed. He can get on here. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, man.
How do
and the other thing, I told you I had my little heart thing last week. They went ahead and shaved me from basically the bottom of my throat to where they really should have stopped a lot farther north. But when is this going to grow back? I look like I'm a 12-year-old boy.
So, Steve, for the dog, best thing I can say is not really steps, but like a ramp. Because I got a little dachshund at home. Not great on stairs, but ramps, she just runs up and down.
So just get you some plywood and throw it over them steps.
Basically.
She just, she'll crawl up 2 of them and eat I'll put a treat on each one of them. And she'll go up 1 and eat the treat, 2nd, eat the treat, 3rd, eat the treat. Look on the bed and eat the treat, just not to get on the bed.
Maybe she thinks the stairs are really comfortable.
Going, gotcha, didn't I?
How do your pup and Taz get along?
Oh, they're great. I mean, Taz bathes them.
Oh, wow. That is good.
Taz is a nurturer. So, yeah. So they're fun. I mean, they both, since my roommate Mandy's in Nashville getting her condo ready to sell, she took the other dog with her. So these 2 get free reign in the house now. They don't have to go to their little crates. And they just crawl in bed and just, one gets on my knees, one gets on my shoulder, and they're good. And since I had the surgery, one of them at least, they sort of take turns, just sort of put their head on my hip where they did the, quote, puncture marks to put in the leads. And one of them will just lay there and just look at me like, "All right, man, you okay? You sure? You're cool? All right, well, I'm sitting right here, man. I'm good. Let me know."
That is awesome. They help the recovery process quite a bit, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they do.
That is great. So is that your best for the best and worst portion of this segment?
Well, I would have said the best would have been the surgery team. But if I started talking about them, I would cry. So we're not going to do that. Best this weekend, Joe Mangrum. He's the new pitching coach at Ole Miss. He spent the last, I think, several years as the pitching coordinator for the Cleveland Guardians. And he took care of Doug Nikhazy and Dylan DeLucia from Ole Miss. They're both in the Guardian system. But he's put these kids on a really, really strict pitch count, especially early in the year, and especially with the weather like this. He's not letting them, I think he told them, you can have a perfect game going through 5, you're coming out. Doesn't matter. Because we need you in April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think that's my best. Ole Miss swept Eastern Kentucky this weekend, and the pitching was just outstanding. But what they did was, like I said, the starters, they didn't go more than 5. And then the relievers, I think they went maybe 1 1/3, 1 2/3. Then they came out. He's just saving those arms because he needs to. And I used to work at a school where early in the year, the coach would just throw the guys out there. It's like, yeah, throw till your arm falls off.
That's how we got ready for the baseball season. Was just throw it till it started hurting.
Yeah, and then what will happen in April? It's like they couldn't go an inning because they had nothing left.
Yep.
So I like what he's doing. I want to say the worst was the crowds. at Ole Miss, but I mean, they had to adjust the game times because of the winter weather. And you look in the dugout, you always see guys in windbreakers and stuff like that. These guys were in parkas. It was cold. So I don't blame the fans from, not showing up. But I guess my worst would be watching some of these, quote, draft experts for the NFL. They are running Jackson Dart so high up. One of them has him falling no farther than number 7 overall. And I'm sorry, but it's been my experience. When these guys start doing that, you're looking for a Brady Quinn type fall for this kid.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Now, I can't remember who it is. AG's big, he's a big Louisville guy, and so Tyler, what's his name? Tyler Shuck, I believe. He's starting to get some love, and he's like, "Look, man, I'm telling you, well, listen, man, it's so tough especially with this quarterback class, because there's really, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and this is no offense to Jackson Dart or to any of the other guys, but it's like, there's still a lot to be seen from them, and really even for the top two, and Shedeur and Cam Ward, we don't know how they're going to pan out at the NFL level.
I still hope Jackson Dart lasts till the second round.
Yeah, well, even chances of him ending up with a better situation are good. I mean, that the toughest thing with all these draft, geniuses and all that is they won't play, they won't play trades a lot early. And then the bigger thing is we don't know what's going to happen with all these free agent quarterbacks yet. So there's a lot of teams that right now it looks like are in the market for a draftable quarterback who may actually not be. And that could completely change the complexion. So, just by nature of situation, Dart could end up, quote, dropping along the board. But like you said, Steve, he never should have necessarily been in that place in the first place. That's just people with too much time on their hands and have to fill a 24-hour news cycle.
Well, here's a question for you, and I can't figure it out. Where's Todd McShay these days? I thought he was a better draft analysis person than anybody else, especially, let's face it, I'm sorry, Mel, but I like McShay a lot better.
Yeah.
But ESPN let him go. I think it was a contract thing. I haven't seen him anywhere.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. I haven't really seen anything out there either. You would think he'd do it for, somebody out there, but I that's a great question. I don't know. Huh.
Well, it looks like he's got his own thing going. He's on Twitter, so you can go follow him over there.
That's why I haven't seen him.
Yeah, it looks like he's an NFL draft analyst. It says on his bio, and then he has McShay Productions and the McShay Show on the Ringer. So that is I'm assuming.
Never heard of the Ringer in my life.
That's what I miss. I just miss Mel going, Todd.
Yeah, so he has a newsletter on the Ringer.
And the coolest thing about McShay, former quarterback for the Richmond Spiders.
Hey, there you go.
There you go. All right, well, what do you make any type of deal? We talked about this earlier to start in the first segment of the show. Do you make any deal at all of Shedeur Sanders not throwing at the combine?
No. It's like the kids who, they go to the Senior Bowl and they'll work out one day. They're like, okay, I'm done. I think they think there's more downside than upside. So no, to tell you the truth, they know what he can do physically. I think it's more, the one-on-one interviews. I think that's more important than, let me see you, run the 40-yard dash. Let me see you do the 10-yard cones. No, I want to sit down and talk to you. I think that's more important.
Yeah. Have you kind of just alluded to it there, but have you ever seen a quarterback, or can you remember a quarterback who actually hurt his stock, whose draft stock fell from throwing at the combine? Can you, Brian?
There's no one I could think of. It would confirm a lot of scout suspicions that maybe there were a few throws they couldn't make, or arm strength was like, that was always the thing on Danny Werfel, but you knew that watching him in college. He was a timing quarterback. He wasn't going to wow you with arm strength, but he could put it on a dime in a timing route. So I can remember things like that, but it seemed like it was only issues that confirmed what they thought going in. I don't remember anybody just like being like shockingly bad. I have
wasn't that great.
That's true. But I do remember, Steve, maybe you, there were a lot of times where somebody's 40 times shocked people that they were a lot slower. Now, again, whether or not that mattered for like a defensive lineman, I don't know if a 40-yard dash matters, but,
Well, I always say, how many times do you see a, offensive tackle run 40 yards on a play?
That's right. You show me their quickness off the block. That's what I'm interested in.
Somebody once said that, when Tim Tebow was drafted, it's like, oh, the Broncos are going to run the option now, and they're going to beat everybody. I'm like, look at the offensive linemen. They're used to running like 3 yards at a time.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have to run 20. That's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, things like that. I remember, Brian, you'll remember this one. Jeff George checked all the boxes on the field. But there were a couple of guys, in the interview said, guy's an airhead.
Yeah. And that was before enough people put stock in the interviews, because it was still Jeff George is the can't-miss quarterback because he had all the arm strength, could make all the throws, this, that, or the other. But you're right, there were. And those people who were saying that were thought of as the crackpots of the day.
The crackpots?
Were you putting too much stock in these interviews, this, that, or the other? And they were exactly right about Jeff George.
That's my new favorite.
Same thing with Art Schleicher.
That's right.
Nobody knew he had a gambling problem, but he could throw the ball 80 yards and hit a dime.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a lot harder to find out if someone had a gambling problem back then?
1982, it certainly was.
Or is it easier to tell if someone has a gambling problem because, like, these days everyone can you can gamble? Is it easier to hide when it's out in front like that? I don't know.
Well, here's the problem. They all tweet about it now.
Right. They tell on themselves. That's what I was saying. So maybe it's easier.
And if somebody goes to Biloxi, there's 20 pictures on Instagram.
And look, let's face it, back then you weren't. And look, Art Schleicher wasn't going to the casino. He was gambling with Guido, who had the neighborhood book. It was, but.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Steve, let's see. What else can you tell us about baseball from Ole Miss over the weekend?
It's really new. They have 10 transfers in, and seriously, I watch the games and I look at the lineup. I'm like, I know 3 of these names.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these other people? And I think, I love David Kellogg to death. He was my first broadcast journalism teacher in college at Ole Miss, and he is the voice of the Ole Miss Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear he should just trademark the phrase, the transfer from, because he has to say it like 50 times a game. And I tell you what, football at Ole Miss, by the way, mid-year transfers or mid-year enrollees, 40.
40 for football?
Yeah.
40. That's half your roster.
That is wild, Steve, to think like 40. And at what point does Lane, and again, that's the game you got to play. But what we're seeing, like with Ohio State, they plug the right players into the culture that has been built. At what point is Lane going to build what he needs to build and then plug and play and not have this everlasting revolving door open for the transfer portal?
Well, some of these guys now, you have to understand, these are incoming freshmen who graduated early.
Okay, gotcha.
So I think that's 10 or 12. And pretty much if you're a top prospect now in high school and you're a sophomore, you're in 10th grade, you're looking, how do I get enough credit hours to graduate early so I can go to spring ball?
Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be the right move. We saw it out of Jeremiah Smith, I believe, Ryan Williams for sure. What do you?
I don't know.
Right,
Austin Simmons.
Let's watch the
Austin
grass.
Simmons
Hold
from Ole
on.
Miss.
Well, I'm always worried about developmentally. I mean, we had the kid at Ole Miss. He's 16 when he enrolled. Brian Williams was 17 and playing. I mean, you're talking about a pretty big difference in, a 16-year-old boy and a, 25-year-old man, now that they're all staying 5 years or whatever that they're getting these days and all like that. And I mean, there's a lot of social adjustment issues and things like that to be worried about. I mean, obviously, if a guy can play football, a guy can play football, but that's not everything. I don't love the fact that they're missing even half of their senior year of high school to go. I know why they're doing it from a football perspective, but I just think developmentally that's not a great thing, and I certainly don't like reclassifying a year early and going. I don't know that that's productive to a human being necessarily in the long term.
But that's after
Austin Simmons, who's going to be the starter this year. He graduated, quote, 2 years early.
Oh, yeah, he was on Ole Miss campus at 16, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
that's
obviously,
that could open up a can of worms.
You're going to miss your prom. You're going to miss this. This kid's missing driver's ed.
Yeah.
But
Do they still offer driver's ed?
I hope so. God,
I mean,
I drive an I-10. I really hope they still do.
Oh, my goodness.
Break and hold. That was not good for me. I always darted into the ditch, but,
Well, people need, these days, they're going to need to start.
I tell you what, Austin Simmons, though, he was homeschooled anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was.
But look, that's the other thing that's so foreign to me. I coached, kids, and I remember one of the girls that I coached one year graduated from Arnold High School, and I think she was on Arnold's campus 2 days her senior year because they do that dual enrollment thing. She also went into college with 2 years of college done. I don't know. I don't know if this is the right thing or not.
I lived in Destin. I shot some video for 38 TV for a while.
Yeah.
And we were out at Crab Island. Tough video to shoot. I had to be out there with beer and women in bikinis. and here's this girl who is just graduating from Niceville High School.
Yeah.
She was graduating 5 credits away from a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I couldn't even spell that when I was, in school. I mean, come on.
Come on. All right, Steve, one more for you. And this will kind of carry our conversation to next Monday, I'm sure. Will Ole Miss football move to a 9-game schedule? I guess essentially that question is, will the SEC move to a 9-game schedule? Or could you see Ole Miss just saying, you know what, we'll be the difference makers. We'll be the pioneers of the 9-game schedule in the SEC?
It's going to depend on what the CFP decides to do with the playoffs. What we're going to do. And the SEC is not going to make a decision until they do. Mm-hmm. And they're going to figure out, okay, what's best for us monetarily. Now, if it were up to me, what I would love, and I think a lot of fans would, I don't think many administrators would be, okay, here's what I would like. I would like a 9-game conference schedule. I would like your 1-game crossover. So if you're in the SEC, you have to play a Big Ten team or an ACC team. And then you have one other game. Now, if you don't have, then that would be your natural rival. Like, for Florida, it'd be Florida State. Yeah. For South Carolina, it'd be Clemson. Now, if you don't have a natural rival that's not in your conference, you have to take another one. Then you have that one extra game. Then you can play the Citadel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can play East Tennessee State. You can play, Jacks. But what I would like to see them do, you have to do it regionally. So if you're Alabama or Auburn, you have to play either UAB, Jacksonville State, Troy, or USA.
Yeah.
If you're Georgia, you got to play Georgia Southern or Georgia State.
Oof.
Now, if you're Ole Miss, you got to play Memphis. If you're Mississippi State, you got to play Mississippi Valley or Jackson State. You got to do one of those. If you're LSU, you got to play Tulane. You got to keep the money close to home.
Yeah.
Don't send it to, I'm going to play Portland State. Don't do that.
Yeah, save that for Oregon State.
So play 9 games that are conference games, play your rival, play 1 crossover, then you can have a cupcake.
See, I like keeping it at 8 games and doing that same thing where you play your 8 conference games, then you have 1 cupcake game, preferably at the beginning of the season and not at the end of the season. Then you play each of the other 3 conferences, Big 12, Big 10, and ACC. And you can, if your natural rival, as you mentioned, is in one of those conferences, and you continue to have that same game every year, and then with the other 2 conferences, you'll rotate throughout the rest of the league.
Well, that would work too, but the thing is the money.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to turn. I mean, ESPN is going to have to say, yeah, we'll sign off on this.
Yep. They're signing off on baseball, too, or baseball's technically signed. I guess they're signing off on each other, breaking up, but Rob Manfred wasn't very happy with the coverage of what baseball's been getting over there on ESPN. So this is a final year with ESPN and Major League Baseball. Steve, anything you want to leave us with? We got to get to our next segment.
Okay, I lied earlier. The surgical team, got to leave you one story. They were wheeling me in and laying there, and the guy said, hey, man, you got anything to say? And I'm like, okay. And I just went to, my parrot head days and just said, at a time like this, I can't help but wonder, what would Jimmy Buffett do? And a couple of the nurses, they threw up the fin sign. Anybody that's that cool in that job, yeah, they deserve a raise. And the anesthesiologist said, also, hey, man, you're about to go to sleep. Come up with a good dream. And I'm like, wait a second, I don't have one yet. Wait. And a friend of mine happened to be in the room, who's a nurse, and she said, think about the table you'll be at. You'll be with Jimmy Buffett, Ernest Hemingway, Mark Twain, and Warren Zevon.
Wow.
Just go to sleep. And the next thing I know, I wake up, they're like, all right, now you got to lay on your back for 4 hours.
Oh, man, that was a great story there, Steve. We're glad that everything went well, and man, just great stuff there. And we hope that your pup can start getting all the way up the stairs. If not, then maybe heeds James' advice.
He's sitting on the second one right now looking at me.
Hey, there you go, man. Well, them steps might just be comfortable for... hey, thanks so much, Steve, and we'll chat with you next Monday, my friend.
Hey, brother, y'all take care now.
All right. Steve Barnes, ladies and gentlemen, senior writer for therebelwalk.com. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, it's time for the takeover, the PCB Hobby Takeover.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Partly cloudy tonight with a light breeze coming out of the north at 5 miles per hour and temps near 54. Tomorrow morning we will have sunshine and a wind speed of 6 miles per hour and be quite warm at 66. Sunny in the afternoon and evening and a high 69. Slight fog and sunshine Wednesday with a temp of 70. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Billburn Kia during the President's Day sale going on all month long. Are you looking for a fuel-efficient SUV that doesn't compromise on style, comfort, and performance? Stop in today at Billburn Kia and let our team put you behind the wheel of your new Kia. Billburn Kia is now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento. Billburn Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillburnKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per month per $1,000 finance in 60 months. Qualities limited, cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billburn Kia warranty. See dealer for complete detail. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/3/25.
Who was hired? Who was fired? Trades, drafts, and playoffs. We're talking about it.
That trade, when it was made, was the right trade.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are the official radio station on the Gulf Coast for March Madness. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad, James Fife, and now it's time for the PCB Hobby Takeover with Julia. How are you doing today, Julia?
Miserable Monday. No, I'm just kidding. Happy Monday.
Yeah.
We got the blues today.
You're looking at the sky, aren't you?
Yeah, no captain today. He is in a coin show in Atlanta right now. It's the ANA, American Numismatics Association.
Hey, I love that word.
Yeah, I'm really proud of myself for pronouncing that. I don't know if it was correct or not, but
sounds good.
I tried it.
It was pronounced.
Yeah, it sure was.
The first 3 times I heard Todd say that word, I was stumbling on numismatics.
I thought he was sneezing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they are at a coin show right now. They will be streaming, I believe, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from Atlanta. So should have some cool new inventory for those streams and after that. So that's really exciting. This week in the shop, we have Lorcana and One Piece organized play on Thursday. Friday night, we have Magic, and Sunday, we have Pokemon. Also, something pretty cool we have going on right now is Panini Player of the Day. Yeah, so basically, you just have to get a pack of Panini cards, and if you have to open it in front of an employee, and if you pull the Player of the Day or a wild card that Panini has on a little sign in our shop, you win. And when you 4 times during this, we're gonna select a winner each week, and there will be a weekly prize, and then those winners will be entered into like a big overall month prize.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's something that Panini does every so often.
That's a great way to get people in the shop and see all what you guys have going over there at PCB Hobby. Jeff?
Yeah.
Is it always a big name player, or can it just be like anybody?
It can be anyone. Yeah, anyone from a variety of teams. So
that drives up collecting for like people who we may not have heard of.
Yeah, I kind of like that it can be just like some kind of like, backup guy and you're looking for him. That's actually cool.
Right. Yeah. So it drives a lot of interest into that. And it is for NFL right now.
Oh, okay.
So, which I believe, Brian, isn't the license kind of changing?
Yes. So Fanatics, i.e. Topps, Fanatics owns Topps and Bowman. Fanatics takes over the NBA license, I want to say October of this year, 2025. And then the NFL license somewhere between March and April of 2026.
Gotcha.
So next year. So very soon. They basically have one more round of cards, one more season of cards each. With Panini in terms of being licensed products. So, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely do this while you can because it may not be a thing forever.
Correct.
So definitely a cool thing. You'll win some free stuff if you get the Player of the Day. But as far as new products, for trading cards, we have a new Lorcana set coming up, Arcasia's Island. It's coming out March 7th. And, of course, For most of these releases for trading card games, we get them actually a week earlier than many online or like big box stores will get them. So we're your best bet at getting it early. We also have a new Pokemon set on the horizon. It's called Journey Together, and it comes out later in March, which is super duper exciting. As far as our streaming, this Wednesday we are doing a G.I. Joe's collectible stream. So we have comics, we have toys, we have pretty much everything G.I. Joe. And we've kind of done this with Star Wars before. We actually did one last week. Brian, how did that one go?
Well, I was involved in the very first one. I wasn't able to do this past Wednesday, but I got on and watched a little bit, and Big Kern was rocking it as always. But as good as the first one was, the stuff that he had for this past one and for future Star Wars shows was that much more incredible. Just cards, comics, toys. Oh my God, the toys. I mean, it was unbelievable. Lego, all kind of stuff with Star Wars. And like I know with G.I. Joe, it may not be, they haven't continued on with G.I. Joe the way Star Wars has continued on, but I mean, anybody my age could tell you G.I. Joe toys were just as big a thing in the early 80s as any of them. That it was Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I mean, that was kind of the big thing. And even He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, which that is making a comeback. So, but yeah, G.I. Joe stuff, obviously very popular. We're in a military area, so it should be that much more popular, but some really cool stuff for sure.
And Big Kern is so knowledgeable about all of that. I was talking to him before the Star Wars show. He was just naming off, like he was like, oh, and look at this one. It's like, it gave me so much information about them.
Well,
and I just don't even know how he knows that.
And it's not just like, oh, here's the next thing to auction on. He's running a show. It's entertaining. He'll mix it up with a lot of, back and forth in the chat. So it literally is as much a show as it is an opportunity to, go in and buy some really cool products, which are there. So, as much as we'd obviously like you to come in and pick up a really cool piece for a great deal, just go in and hang in the show. I mean, just, comment in the chat. I mean, that makes
fun.
That makes the shows so much more enjoyable for the host as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a great time.
And a great example of that this past week, I think half of our employees were probably watching this stream when Josh ripped, I believe it was WWE Flawless.
Yeah, it's a $2,500 box of WWE cards.
Yeah.
And everybody in the office ran in there. I was watching from the shop. They had WWE theme music going during it, so every time they'd unveil a new card, they'd hit the entrance music of the card that came out. Yeah, it was a great show.
I know Brian was a little bit jealous.
The last one, we heard the glass shatter, and Stone Cold autograph card came out. Wow. So that was really cool. And it was really neat when you don't know what the card is and you hear the glass break.
Yeah.
And everybody, Stone Cold.
Do you get a little pop? A little pop from the video?
Yeah, I popped from the shop. It was really cool. It's a lot of fun. But again, that, like we were talking about, that's what makes it much more fun. I know James can attest to it too. It's as much a show as it is like an auction, and that is just, it's communal. It makes it a lot of fun to be a part of.
It really is. One of our employees, she ships specifically like the trading cards and sports cards, and she can just like name off like a bunch of our regulars because it's so much like community.
Yeah.
She'll just bring them up in conversation of, oh, did you see like he bought this really cool thing and it was a great rip and a good card or whatever. And so it's so much of a community on eBay Live. So definitely check us out on eBay Live. We're at PCB Hobby. We're pretty much always streaming, and our little cover image is really recognizable, so you really don't have to scroll that hard. And we stream for coins, comics, trading cards, and sports cards, and even collectibles now, like toys. So yeah, definitely recommend checking us out on eBay Live. And if you're wanting to get any more information about these streams or any of the events we have going on, check us out on Instagram or Facebook at PCB Hobby, because we like to post schedules and all of that. So definitely check us out.
Absolutely. For sports cards this week, and actually not just sports cards, I'm going to go into a few other things. It's not a big release week. We've had so many big ones in a row. We got a lot coming next week. This week, it's a little lighter on the releases. Topps Midnight Basketball will drop. It's another product from last year's class. They're definitely honing in on the Victor Wembanyama, but Topps, again, has Victor's autograph license. Midnight is a premium card, thicker, really nice looking stuff. So that'll be out on Wednesday, and it just actually arrived in the shop today. Topps is first. They also just took over the license of Marvel. Upper Deck has had that for years. Topps has it now, and the first product available in the United States, they did run one in Europe about a month or two ago, is X-Men 97. Which was a specific story that they told within the X-Men universe and was extremely popular. They made a cartoon of it that was extremely popular on Disney Plus, and X-Men 97 is a big thing. So Topps finest X-Men 97 will be out this week. I've seen the boxes. I've already laid claim to one of them. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun too, because it'll be Topps' first foray into the Marvel universe, I believe ever actually with Marvel. It's always been a Upper Deck or Skybox before Upper Deck bought them kind of property. So,
and I've seen all the Upper Deck ones, so it's interesting and it's really exciting because Upper Deck is really like tight on the reins of how you can sell it, when you can sell.
That's right.
So it'll be really exciting that we get to move those fast. And I also saw on Panini the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones Prism is coming. Yep.
They're just diving into everything now.
They are actually next week. Panini Prism Live Golf drops. I'm actually interested in that one. So
you're more interested in that than the PGA Tour?
We've been through this. I'm Team Live in the whole split, know. But I wish it would get back together. But I'm Team Live in that, and I think it could be pretty cool. I mean, it's just different. It's really neat. Upper Deck has the license to PGA stuff, and they've put out a few things, but they're pretty controlling about stuff. Prism is obviously a well-known entity, and so having Live as a part of that, I think, is a good thing for them. So that'll be an interesting one dropping. We have a couple of football products coming next week, a couple of basketball products. Panini is doing Prospect Edition baseball. That's going to be very much for the young prospects who aren't in the league yet because they don't have the MLBPA license, but they can run the prospects who are in the minors. So
now,
and that's a lot of fun.
They can't use like the images on the caps. And
they
stuff,
cannot,
right? Because
they cannot.
Minor league baseball.
That's correct. So they actually are lacking two licenses. They're lacking the MLB license, but also the MLBPA.
Yeah,
but that only applies to the guys in the majors or guys who have signed with the MLBPA. And actually, I don't believe Bobby Witt has, and that's why he is still able to have Panini cards.
So
just
he's
not in his Royals thing. I don't know how, but there's something to that he is not under that judgment, if you will. So there's always one or two, but it was weird. I don't really know why, but that's the thing. So that's really what's coming this week. But, we just came off, we had Topps Rip Night at the shop on Saturday. I wasn't able to be there because I had to go to Huntsville with swimming. I have to do with the other job too. But no, they had a great time. I mean, there were bounties out there. There were raffles. Everybody coming in ripping all kind of product. It was really fun. Actually had a lot of people bring some singles in to sell because they wanted to rip stuff. So we got a lot of new singles in the shop over the weekend. We actually bought a vintage collection this morning. So those of you interested in kind of 1957 to 59 stuff, we picked up a new collection there. And but yeah, Rip Night, always fun. Topps provides a lot of product, for people to come in and rip.
The t-shirts are great. I did take hold of one.
There you go.
Yeah, they're great.
So yeah, it was pretty cool for sure, and definitely got a lot of people out, had a great time, and it was a good one, and just it's not going to be long here. What I guess? I can't. What's the date here? Are we on the kids play this week? Yeah, this Saturday is the 1st, so I guess we'll have the kids learn to play, and then next Saturday will be our next Super Saturday. So a lot going on.
How often does Tops do the Rip Nights?
I think twice a year.
Okay.
It seems like they do that. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Dave, you got any questions for us?
I do, man. And you just kind of were talking about some of the prospects. One of the things that I think I'm most impressed by, really, baseball card collectors who take it very seriously. They know all of these prospects.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not all of them, but a large amount of them. So give me 3 MLB prospects that you can't miss this season. Give it to me from the perspective of a card collector, and then also just from a fan of the game.
Okay. Well, obviously, you start with MLB's top 100 prospect list, which is a weird list anyway, because you'll have guys there who are, in high A ball, and you'll have guys there who are actually already in the bigs. I mean, Cruz is number 4 on the list. He's in the bigs. But so you start there. If you're looking at it from a collector, you're probably looking more for a guy to rise up the prospect rankings of his club because their value goes up based on that, or somebody who you think has a good chance of being called up early. For me personally, I'm looking at, I'm a big fan of Cags, Jack Caglianone. Obviously, right now, I think he's with A+ ball for the Royals, but he's a guy I could see being up this year. I really could, because the guys who play high-level D1 baseball, Langford was in his first year, Skeens was in his first. I mean, these guys go through pretty quickly.
Right. I mean, even Cruz.
Exactly.
He was.
Yeah.
Dylan, he got some time.
He had 1 year in the minors,
Yeah.
and he came up right at the end. So, Cags is, for me, Walker Jenkins is one of the top prospects in baseball. He's an outfielder for the Minnesota Twins. He is a superstar of the future, I think. He's got all the tools. He's a guy who could be up by the end of the year as well, and he's one to watch. And then I'm going to cheat on one because I don't know if I consider him a prospect.
Okay.
Roki Sasaki.
Oh, okay, yeah, facts.
I mean, he's technically signed to a minor league deal, but look, he's one you obviously, he's going to be super exciting and a big deal. I'll give you 2 others that may be a little further down the line. They're in the top 10 of the prospect list, but Christian Campbell for the Red Sox is getting a ton of buzz. They really like him. He's been a middle infielder, but he can play in the outfield if needed, and there's a lot of buzz around him. The other one is shortstop Carson Williams for the Rays. I would keep an eye on him. There's a lot of buzz around him as well. So those are kind of some guys to look for who I think might be able to make the jump. I think Carson Williams is with AA. Campbell's AAA guy. Walker Jenkins, I want to say, is AAA. But those guys, I think, could all be in the bigs this year, and that'll be good for them from a card perspective.
All right, and then one more for you. What's hotter right now, UFC cards or WWE cards?
It's very difficult to answer.
That's what we want on this show.
I will say WWE's probably hotter this instant for 2 reasons. Number one, their license just changed from Panini to Topps.
Okay.
Panini rushed a ton of high-end products like National Treasures and Flawless out, and Topps Chrome wanted to get out right before Royal Rumble. So they've had a ton of big releases. The other thing is we're in WrestleMania season.
Right.
That being said, UFC stuff is incredibly popular. UFC Topps Finest just came out 2 weeks ago. It's one of our best sellers. Topps has put out a lot of higher end stuff. They've put out Chrome. They've done the buyback program with that. So it's been good. If you ask me this instant, WWE year over year, it's a pretty tough, that might be a 50-50.
There's a lot with the UFC, or with WWE, it's got its, as you mentioned, it's right now the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Right? So it's got that portion of the year. It's almost like in season, even though it's, all year long. And there's times where the fan base is kind of getting bored with the storylines and whatnot. So with the UFC, it's kind of fresh and invigorating. Like even if one of your old champions starts dying off, then you have like new guys to kind of take that over.
I think UFC needs a megastar.
Yeah.
And I think they
Conor
have
McGregor, Habib, all of them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they need that from a card perspective.
Right.
And just to go into the mainstream. I mean, guys who didn't watch UFC knew who Conor McGregor was.
Right. And most of the guys who are at the top of the game in the UFC right now they don't speak very good English for the most part.
Right.
You know?
Well, if you ask the general layperson who's not watching UFC every week and name UFC fighters, they're going to say Ken Shamrock, they're going to say Chuck Liddell, they're going to see, but guys who are
get
gone.
Off my lawn.
Yeah, but they're going to say guys who are gone. They need that. I mean, they might even say, GSP. I mean, they need that right now. There are some of the most skilled fighters. Patty, it looked like, could be that. They
Sugar Shane.
Yeah, they need the guys who can just step out and into that megastar role.
Or Sugar Sean, rather.
Like McGregor did. And I'm sure the next one's coming. But that, to me, is if UFC gets that pushes them over.
From my kind of perspective, I mean, I'm not really super into UFC or WWE, but I feel like I recognize more names from WWE.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just not knowing anything, just hearing names. I've seen a lot of the guys in it, that we ripped in Flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, I know who Stone Cold Steve Austin was, and some of those bigger names, and so that kind of to me.
Yeah,
shows that WWE.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, Stone Cold's from 20 years ago too.
Right. Yeah.
So but no, I think so, and there's a little more hybrid marketing, traditionally WWE into Hollywood and like with The Rock.
You can still use your legends.
That's
like,
right.
right.
I mean, let's face it, they're quote actors.
Yeah.
In a way. So it's.
If anybody wants to come beat down on Coach Brian Haddad.
Jimmy's putting out a hit on me right now. So.
Oh, man. We got to be talking about Elimination Chamber. Give us a quick rundown again of everything going down over there, Julia.
Yeah, absolutely. We have organized play going all week, or at the end of the week. We have Tops. We had Tops Rip Night last weekend. We're looking forward to doing some more fun events like that. We are doing Panini Player of the Day, so come test your luck.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to stay up to date with all that we're doing, definitely go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at PCB Hobby. Check out our live streams on eBay Live at PCB Hobby. And come to our store, too. We have a great shop with super knowledgeable people. So that's at 11939 Panama City Beach Parkway, right next to Florida Linens. You can't miss it.
Julia, thanks so much for stopping by, and have the great rest of your miserable happy Monday. Happy Monday. All right, you guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we're either going to talk about the tush push and try to guess who the team is, the lone team is who's going to try to get the NFL to ban the tush push, or we'll talk a little bit more about ESPN and the Major League Baseball's breakup. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Partly cloudy tonight with a light breeze coming out of the north at 5 miles per hour and temps near 54. Tomorrow morning we will have sunshine and a wind speed of 6 miles per hour and be quite warm at 66. Sunny in the afternoon and evening and a high 69. Slight fog and sunshine Wednesday with a temp of 70. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
Your pets are our priority at Southern Hospitality.
Professional in-home pet care to meet the needs of you and your pet.
Vacation pet care, dog walking, adventure hikes, wedding pet attendant, and more.
Southern Hospitality experienced team provides a safe, nurturing, and stimulating environment your pet will thrive in.
You'll even receive reports with photos and real-time updates of each visit.
Talk to Southern Hospitality? Call us now, 850-805-7387.
Bonded and insured.
They're number one in the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back. It's the final segment of the
headbanging here.
And we got co-host Coach Brian Haddad.
Got your Brad.
James 5, Coach Brian Haddad, David Hayes here. Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Paul Feinbaum coming up next after the
Paul.
Afternoon Underdogs.
Call ball, y'all. There. Thanks for taking my call, Paul.
Oh, man. Also, don't forget, Arnold, congratulations to them. We're going to have 3 seniors in with us tomorrow afternoon at 5:20. They'll be on with us, and we'll be talking about their championship, all the things that they went through. 25 games, 24, getting 19, 1-4, so 24 games, and you only lose one of those outright. Pretty impressive stuff, and also congratulations to the Rutherford Rams for the Lady Rams and the basketball season that they were able to have. We'll go over our best and worst of the weekend after we go over these local scores in high school baseball. Mosley beat up on Childs 14-4. Arnold, great start to the season for them. Blanken Liberty 10-0, and Alcilla Christian beat Port St. Joe 10-1. Men's basketball for Gulf Coast State College, they beat Tallahassee 73-38. They are in the top 25 now. They are playing some really good basketball. Women's basketball, it was Gulf Coast over Tallahassee 79-66. Coach Coons got them girls playing. JUCO baseball, Gulf Coast beat Shelton 5-1, and in softball, Gulf Coast gets a pair of wins. They beat Pellissippi. Is that somewhere?
Sounds right.
Is that near Mississippi?
I've heard of it. I have no idea. But I have heard of that. I have no clue.
Gulf Coast wins 16-5. Then they beat Johnson County later 9-0. In high school wrestling at the FHSAA 1A Regionals, Tarina Rushing got first place in 190 pounds from Mosley. Also from Mosley, Rowdy Johns finished second at 135 pounds. Brooke Arbick out of Niceville got second place. She was at 170 pounds. Sergen Metzger out of Crestview got third at 115 pounds. Shyla Borden out of Choctaw got fourth place at 120 pounds. Julia Falgout out of North Bay Haven got fourth place at 130 pounds. And then Mary McKinney out of Choctaw got fourth place at 135 pounds. Mosley finished in 14th with 50 points. North Bay Haven 17th with 40.5 points. Fort Walton Beach at 38th with 7 points. Choctaw at 23rd with 32 points tied, but then was Crestview with 32 points as well. Freeport at 38th with 7 points. Niceville finished in 7th with 58.5 points. Bozeman in 44th with 6 points. Weewaw in 49th with 3 points. Bay in 55th with 0 points. And then South Walton in 55th with 0 as well. Tonight in baseball, Arnold travels to Mariana. Arnold is 4-1 and Mariana 2-2. That first pitch will be at 6 p.m. Port St. Joe is 4-4. They travel to Taylor County, who's 3-2, and that first pitch also at 6 p.m. And then in softball, Bozeman 2-0 on the young season, traveling to Freeport, who is 0-0, and they will play tonight at 7 p.m. What do you think about the whole ESPN MLB breakup? Kind of at a weird time. Then, according to Outkick here over the weekend, Major League Baseball ESPN rather came out and said that it wasn't a one-sided ordeal. We decided to pull out of the deal. ESPN approached Major League Baseball with a demand to lower its $550 million per year rights fee to broadcast Sunday Night Baseball and then also the Wild Card Series. for Apple TV, and they're getting games on Sunday morning. Apple TV is $85 million. Roku's is $10 million for those Sunday morning games. And Peacock had one for a little bit. I guess maybe that's just Roku TV now, or Roku TV's game now. So, but $550 million a year for Sunday Night Baseball is kind of. But you also get a wild card series out of it. But baseball's like on the rise in popularity. Yeah. With only 2 minutes here, what do you got on this, Coach?
I think what happened, it's a little bit of a lost in translation, if you will, even though we're all speaking English. I don't think Major League Baseball meant to say it was a mutual decision to end the deal. I think ESPN wanted to end the deal. Yeah. I think Major League Baseball's point by saying it was mutual was they were pretty frustrated with ESPN as well.
Gotcha.
And I do think so. Look, I mean, I remember, Chris Berman and major Sunday Night Baseball, but more than that, I remember Peter Gammons and Baseball Tonight.
Oh man, Baseball Tonight was
great.
Oh, I grew up. That was my bread and butter.
That's right.
MLB, they had the MLB Network, and that was cool. But Baseball Tonight, especially when you mentioned Peter Gammons.
So in general, you cannot argue that ESPN has not gone after baseball the way that it should. Maybe they think they're overpaying, fair enough. But honestly, it sounds to me like it probably needed to be a divorce here, and it's going to be that way. I just hope that Major League Baseball, I love the network, but I hope they find some partner that provides it to a little broader audience that can do that, because the game is growing and is super exciting.
Out there right now that
I don't know yet.
Appeal to the mass.
But that's the thing, it's burgeoning all the time. Yeah. I don't know if that's streaming. I don't know if they expand something with Fox. I don't know what it's going to be.
Right, because you do have Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2. So
that's the most likely scenario.
It got to, but Fox has got Saturday Night Baseball as it is. This could be a window of opportunity for Apple TV. Netflix? Does Netflix dive into this situation? I don't know, man. So many questions still. It just seems like a very weird time to do it with the rise in popularity from baseball. Like they had 2 more years, I believe, on the contract.
Yeah, one more.
1 more year?
1 more after this.
Okay, so
they're ending 1 year early, I believe.
Yeah, so, we'll talk more about it as the week progresses. You guys have been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. For James Fife, Coach Brian Haddad, I'm David Hayes. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I, and
the Titans are awful.
See you guys tomorrow at 4.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer, puts it in. College basketball is back.